The gender war is by gender war, I mean man versus woman. And it's really rooted in pure delusion. I'm not going to say that there hasn't been atrocities in the history of mankind committed by men, most certainly, obviously. But the conversation around womanhood and manhood and femininity and masculinity, it's really rooted in utter delusion. And it's meant to just get clicks for people to read articles, but people are actually beginning to believe it. Listen to this nonsense.
Okay, so there's this clip going viral online of a dozen women being asked the following question: do we need men? Most answered very quickly, no. And only one said she thought women needed a man in their lives, only one. But when men were asked a similar question, do we need women, most of them said yes. So why do you think that is?
Because men are useless. I mean, love it. And by the way, I want to differentiate between straight men and gay men, because I think I would die without gay men. Nobody can gossip like gay men. Nobody can help you accessorize like gay men. Nobody can help you keep you from doing harm to yourself like gay men.
Like I said, it's rooted in utter delusion. I mean, I know that's gonna rile a lot of people up. There's gonna be people who comment on it and things like that. But I think that it just needs to be left alone. And what I mean by it's rooted in utter delusion is that when we think about the T conversation of LGBT, we think about the T conversation using that language, because I'd like for one of our videos to at least get seen on YouTube. But we think about that T conversation, and it's rooted in utter delusion. Where I don't know how much time is wasted arguing about what a man is, what a woman is, rather than individual conversations where you're pleading with people to get them to understand their dignity and value and who made them. They clearly have a disconnect with their creator, and that's obvious because the suicide rate amongst T people are high, or is high. The suicide rate is high, and I think that we would do a good work in isolating the conversation with trying to understand the individual, rather than getting into the sandbox conversation of a man is a man, is a woman is a woman. We know that, and reality knows that, and reality has been showing that and proving that. And so, in the same conversation or the same sense, when it comes down to men and women, we don't need to prove that the world needs men. As a matter of fact, I always like to say that a society will flourish or fall with men at the helm. And that's not to say because men are better. It's to say because that's what men were created for, to be heads. So they will be heads of destruction or heads of flourishing. And the only reason this popular narrative amongst feminists exists and flourishes is because of destructive men. Because of destructive men. I think about that one thing. Will Ferrell, I think, he once said something like, women need to start running the world. Let me try to find it. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Let's listen to Will Ferrell.
Forget about the entertainment world. Isn't it just time? Isn't it just time for women to run the planet? I'm not just trying to placate you, I swear. But I don't know what else to do, because we, men, we've been running the show since what, 10,000 BC, something like that. And we're not doing so good. So please.
So, what's funny, I forgot that I commented on this, but I was about to share this with you anyway. This is my comment on this. This is the right-winged angel. And my comment on here says, it's a make-believe conversation between me and my oldest son. It says, my son asks, Dad, when did women start to run the planet? And me, I say, when a man commanded them to, son. Now, I know that's going to trigger some people, but let's just be real, guys. Let's be real. That's just a bunch of virtue signaling, hyperbolic nonsense. Even if you want to say that men have run the planet since 10,000 BC, let's think about when things started going poorly. That's such a crazy time span. But I'm going to think about our modern era where we are the smartest, or I'll say, we are the most educated generation of our time. And men mostly, are the ones who are infiltrating women's spaces as quote unquote women. Do you know how that happened? By placating to women to allow it to happen, and by good men not standing up against it. The only way women are protected is by good men standing in the gap for them. Oh, no, we don't need men to defend us, the woman says. Yes, you do. And that's the end of the conversation. And we're called to be protectors. We're called to be a preserving force in society. There are men infiltrating female prisons as I speak right now, impregnating female prisoners. Go talk to them. Go talk to them and say if we need men. Tell Anna Navarro from TheView to go there and ask those women if the world needs men. Um, it's just, it is pretty frustrating, because what you have is you have women who are married who have this ideology, so therefore they don't even respect their husbands. You have daughters who don't respect their fathers. Obviously, this is not all across the board, but this is the effect of it, because this is a scheme of Satan. The scheme of Satan has always been to divide the man from the woman. This is why he approached the woman. He approached the woman, and headship is made evident in that we know that sin entered the world because of a man. It didn't say through a couple. Sin entered the world through a man. And men need to understand that. So the demons you deal with, the lack of discipline, the poor habits, the idols you deal with will affect your entire family because of headship. But if you are a shepherd, if you are a protector, if you are a provider, if you are a knowledgeable, redeemed sinner, it falls at the feet of the Lord, knowing that you are in need of forgiveness, and knowing that is the Lord who provides, and your family flourishes because of his will. Your family will flourish as a result of that relationship because of the Lord's goodness and your reliance on his goodness. Let's listen to a little bit of this feminist YouTube channel that I found. She had some interesting things to say, but I want to give a little bit of commentary, a little bit, and then I'll end this video. Okay, so this is the Factual Feminist. I've never heard of her, but I stumbled across this video when I was trying to find the Anna Navarro video, so I figured I'd give it a watch. I watched about a minute of it, and I said, this would be interesting to play on the back end of the Anna Navarro View video. And so let's listen to a little bit of what she says.
For most of human history, men have been the dominant sex because of their capacity to compete, take risks, and fight for resources. But some claim that these masculine traits have become obsolete. Today, we need other qualities: empathy, social intuition, emotional intelligence. And here it appears that women excel. Men, some say, are just passé. Well, is this true? That's coming up next on The Factual Feminist.
So, yeah, she's just setting up the thing. But obviously, this isn't her stance. She's just setting up the question. But yeah, empathy, social intuition, things like that, those aren't exclusive to women. Those are possessed by both men and women. But there's a difference when it comes down to certain attributes of men. So I would say that in the Venn diagram of man and woman, when it comes down to emotional awareness, emotional intelligence, empathy, sympathy, compassion, those are things that can be possessed in strong capacities by both men and women. And then on the far sides of those distinctives are things that we don't touch. So when it comes down to strength, men are stronger than women. That's just the way it is. I'm not saying every single man on the face of the earth is stronger than every single woman on the face of the earth. But our distinctives is that men are stronger and women are less strong. Women are nurturers and men are less of nurturers. Women carry children and men do not. But what you find today is that the extremes, the far ends of the distinctives are trying to be abolished or trying to be eradicated. And we're just trying to conflate every aspect of man and woman into one another. And the only loser of that war is women. Because a good man is going to defend himself. A good man is going to he's going to defend himself. See, even a destructive man is going to defend himself, but a woman is left helpless. A woman is left helpless. Once again, this is generalizing. I'm not saying every woman is helpless, but in a society where destructive men roam free, women and children are left helpless. That is why men are called to defend and protect and honor them. Let's listen to a little bit more of what she says. Let me get past this thing here. Let's go.
This idea that men are finished, to me, it's a fantasy. Women are joining men as partners in running the world, but we're not replacing them and never will. I mean, yes, women are flourishing in unprecedented ways.
And I'm sorry, I'm going to pause this a lot. I'm not going to watch the whole thing, but what does it mean that women are flourishing? I think that in order to know when something is flourishing, you have to know what its entire purpose is. You get what I'm saying? Like, I could be sitting and watching a TV and see a man throw a ball, and every time he throws the ball, somebody catches it. And I'm thinking, wow, he is flourishing at what he's doing. But the guy that's catching the ball that he's throwing is wearing a different colored jersey. And the whole point of the guy throwing the ball is to throw it to somebody wearing his jersey. You see what I'm saying? If you know the point, if you have the original purpose of the existence or the thing that you're doing, then you can determine whether or not you're flourishing. So I'm not saying that women in the workforce is bad, but I'm saying that you cannot just simply look at the picture of women excelling in the workforce and then therefore to conclude women are flourishing, because it's at what cost? That means that parents aren't home. That means that the government has been educating all of our children because man works and woman works and children are left to the school system. And then the school system is just degrading their mindset more and more and more against their parents, against their own identities, against their neighbors. Are we flourishing because the woman wants to be in the place of man? And she's right. Women aren't replacing men, but they want to. It's not about women flourishing. There's a heartbreaking reality when it comes to feminism, that feminism doesn't view womanhood as beautiful. Feminism views manhood as beautiful. And they want manhood.
But men have hardly vanished from the scene. I mean, it's still men who are more likely to start businesses, file for patents, tell jokes, write editorials, conduct orchestras, blow things up. Men succeed and fail more spectacularly than females. So there are more males who are Nobel laureates and CEOs, but also more who are in maximum security prisons. Men commit most of the acts of wanton violence, but it usually takes other men to stop them. The male declinists seem to imagine a world of busy, consensus-building women happily and competently interacting and managing the new economy. So they paint this picture where there's just going to be an explosion of jobs in the caring and nurturing and communicating professions, social workers, website designers, personal coaches, executive producers. Well, sorry to disturb this idyll, but you cannot sustain a network of nurturers and communicators without those hard-driven innovators, manufacturers, builders, transporters, not to mention the military. And men still hold the lion's share of dangerous, dirty, and necessary jobs that few women seem to want. Men are still the truck drivers, the builders, the coal miners, the sewer workers. I mean, are those jobs passé? We're told that toughness and assertiveness are obsolete. That's ridiculous. The world is a dangerous place. I mean, think of China with its millions of unattached young men, or volatile patriarchal societies where radical Sharia law prevails. Our civilization still depends on brave men who are willing to fight and die to protect us.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to end it. I'm not going to, you can watch the Factual Feminist. Just look up the Factual Feminist. I've literally just stumbled across her, so I'm not really aware or knowledgeable of her channel, but I liked what she was saying there in that video. Like I said, this is rooted in delusion. It's utter delusion. And the only way to prove feminism wrong is for good men to stop being good. For every good man to decide, I'm not going to be good anymore. I'm not going to be a protector. I'm not going to be a provider. I'm not going to stand in the gap between those who are helpless and those who are destructive. And good men don't do that. So what happens is you create a society of privilege and of great welfare. And when you have prideful people who live in a privileged society, they become stiff-necked and complainers. And that's what feminism is. Feminism kind of, caught legs in the United States when after World War II, um, America started flourishing. The Industrial Revolution, America started flourishing, and you had things like the microwave and the refrigerator, and you had a lot of leisure living for women in suburban homes, and as a result of that, you had like publications that were talking about, is this all there is? Is this really all there is, that I go home and I iron my husband's pants and I do these things and I take my kids to school and then I just lay back by the pool and you know, you know, spend time with my husband? And is this all there is? And wanting more out of life. And the only thing that the woman was missing was a desire to love and serve the Lord. That's what's fulfilling. That's what's fulfilling. But the answer that she was given was to be a man. That's what's fulfilling. The thing that you're lacking is manhood. And so you need to go and seek out manhood. And we're seeing the fruits of that. We're seeing the fruits of teachers not being masculine. We don't have any men in our schools. And we're seeing a deficit of boyhood where boys are being feminized because everything they're surrounded by in society is women. They go to school with most women. All the way through college, they'll be with most women. Their teachers are going to be most women. Their professionals in the school are going to be most women. They're told to behave like women. They can't be rough. They can't be rambunctious. They have to get energy out. They got to compete. They got to think deeply about things as far as like computing things, systemic things. And they don't do that stuff. They're told to sit in a circle and be feminized. There's a lot of aspects of this that really neuter manhood, growth in manhood. And even me talking about growing a boy towards manhood is seen as a toxic conversation, is because there's just a destructiveness towards manhood. And that's not at the hands of women. It's at the hands of our true enemy, the true enemy of this world, the father of lies. And women are the victim of the father of lies, and men are to blame. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this commentary of this. Keep checking out for more. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, like this video. Check out our podcast, Black and Blurred Podcast. We try to post weekly and we take a little bit of breaks, but we talk about controversial topics because we want to shed light on the darkness rather than partner with it. Holla at you.